Welcome to Ezuri's Misfits. As far as our opening hand goes, I think we can make this work. I don't really want to mulligan past 7, and we got a couple good creatures in the hand, so we'll go to keep on this one. Playing against Roon, so it should be a pretty interesting match. But our opponent's on the play, so we're going to let them do their thing. But yes, welcome to Ezuri. We can officially sound the Simic alarms for ourselves, which is always nice. Not having somebody sound alarms against us, or at least having our opponent sound alarms against us. Let's go and get down Flooded Strand. Now let's go and get Wirewood down. Going to crack Flooded Strand, get down Tropical Islands, going to get down Wirewood. Tap down for 1 green, and then anything else, no. We're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. We're playing Ezuri, Claw of Progress. Whenever a creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you get an experience counter. Then at the beginning of combat on your turn, put X+1 counters on another target creature you control, where X is the number of experience counters that you do have. We're playing against Roon, Mr. Rhino Soldier. Let's go ahead and go. Do we want to go for Simic Growth Chamber? There's nothing we can really get down for 2 at this point right now. Let's go and push him for 1, at least at this point. There we go. Swinging in for 1, it's going to knock our opponent down to 29. And then, I guess we'll go and get down the Growth Chamber. Why not? Maybe we get drawn to Gurk Wildspeaker. That's fine. We're going to get that down, bounce Tropical Island back to the hand, and then we'll go and pass the turn back over to our opponent. We're playing against Roon of the Hidden Realm, Vigilance and Trample. Then for a 2-mana activation, exile another target creature, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. And our opponent will be getting down the Faithful Healer. Enters the battlefield, search your library for a card named Teferi Timebender, and then reveal it. So we have that. We have Teferi on the way. He's coming. He's going to let us know what's up. Let's go and get down Tropical Island. Let's go and go for this Farhaven Elf. I'd like to hold on to it if possible, but actually if we want to, we can bounce it back to the hand with Wirewood, and that'll be a pretty good option for us. So let's go and get down Farhaven Elf. That's going to put us online for Ezuri Claw of Progress, so we can actually still go and get that down next turn and still get those +1 counters going. Let's make Teferi just a little bit smaller. Yes, we're going to use that ability. Let's go and grab a forest, have that come into play, and then anything else, no, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So next turn, we're looking at getting down Ezuri. We will be able to get that experience counter going by getting down Elvish Mystic, and we can also bounce Farhaven Elf back to the hand with Wirewood and get some really good stuff going. Opponent's going to get down Azusa, okay? And then also, I cannot remember who suggested it, but somebody suggested that I put Wirewood in this deck, and then a few other kind of stuff like Mausoleum Wanderer and Siren Storm Tamer. And so as we can tell, Wirewood is going to be a very nice addition to the deck so far, especially with us being able to bounce Farhaven Elf back to the hand. Do we want to declare? Yeah, let's go and do that. We'll go and declare Farhaven Elf a blocker. Make sure we can do that only once each turn. Okay, yeah. We're going to go and do that. Click OK, and then we're going to go ahead and return Farhaven Elf back to the hand. Because either way, we still need to recast it to kind of get that, and we'll get that nice fog effect. So if you are new to Magic, that's one way that you can kind of fog out an attack. If the creature doesn't have Trample, that damage does not get assigned. Let's go for Ezuri Claw of Progress. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. Get down Ezuri. Let's go and get down Forest. Let's go and go for Elvish Mystic and get those experience counters going. Okay. Do we want to put those counters? Actually, we'll go and put those counters on Ezuri, I think, at this point. Actually, we're going to put it on Elvish Mystic. No, let's put it on, we'll put on Elvish Mystic. No, we'll put on Wirewood, Wirewood Symbiote. I always forget that he is not, this insect is not a elf token. So I'm thinking about, we're going to bounce it back to the hand. Let's go ahead and just pass the turn to our opponent. That way, if they want to swing in with Faithful again, or Azusa, we'll at least have a 2 toughness creature out on the battlefield. But I always forget that the elf picture, that it's an insect and it's not an elf. Opponent's going to go for Academy Rector. Whenever it dies, search your library for an enchantment card, put it on the battlefield. So that's definitely something that we don't really want to let them get that crack on it. So hopefully we can kind of build up a nice board state before they can go for that Academy Rector trigger. Okay, see what we draw into. Draw into Cultivate. And since our opponent does have down Breeding Pool, let's go for Cold Eye. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. We're going to be able to get those additional +1 counters on it. Let's go and get down Dryad Arbor. And then, do we want to go for Farhaven? Yeah, let's go and do this. Tap down Elvish Mystic. Tap down on Farhaven Elf. We're going to be able to search our library for a land. Let's go and grab an island off this one. And then let's go ahead. Do we want to... Yeah, and I think that should be good. Let's go and pass the turn to our opponent. We don't want to swing into that Academy Rector just yet, so let's go and shove all these counters onto Cold Eye. That way we can get some pretty good card draw going for that. Okay, that's going to sitting at a 5/5, and then anything else, no. We're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So next turn we can get down Honda. It's Hadana's Climb, but I always think of it as Honda, like a nice 95 Honda. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1 counter on target creature you control. Then if the creature has 3 more +1 counters on it, transform it, and we go for that activation of giving it. Ooh, opponent's going to get down Sword of Feast and Famine. Okay, so that will be a pretty good option against us, because that will give us protection from green. They will get that down on Faith. That will allow them to untap their lands. That is not the end of the world at this point right now, but hopefully with Cold Eye, we get some pretty good card draw going. So, all right, opponent's going to be swinging in for 4. It's going to knock us down to 25. And then we do have to discard a card. Let's go ahead and, at this point right now, we're going to get rid of 4, so that way we can still leave on Scalding Tarn for one of our dual sources. Okay, opponent will get down to Fairy. Let's go and check out what Fairy's got going on. So we've got +2 untap up to 1 target artifact or creature. -3, draw 2 cards, gain 2 life, take an extra turn after this one. So we do need to start putting some pressure onto Fairy. Thankfully with that breeding pool out there, that does allow us to swing with Cold Eye. So I think at this point, yeah, we want to get some pretty good card draw going. Adventure of Zendikar. Okay, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 total mana at this point right now. Let's go and get down Scalding Tarn. And you know what? We could go for Avenger of Zendikar. That's going to be us completely tapping out. I kind of want to hold on to Avenger of Zendikar as kind of a backup plan. So let's do this. Let's go and get down 95 Honda's Climb. And then we'll put those +1 counters. Any of the creatures we want to get down at this point right now. I guess we could bounce back something with Elvish Mystic and kind of recast it. Yeah, let's go and do that. And let's go and cast Elvish Mystic. That way we can get that extra trigger and put that onto Cold Eye. And then we'll be able to go for that activation with Honda's Climb. Okay, we are looking at an 11-11 actually. And let's go and go for the activation off Cold Eye. Okay, that's going to be a 22-22 coming across. Let's go and swing across. And it does get flying from the, oh yeah, that's right, it does get flying from the Winged Temple. Okay, we're going to come across for 22, knock our opponent down to 5, and yes, we're going to use that ability, end up with a ton of cards in the hand. And then, oh, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. There should be at least, hopefully, 1/1 drop in here that we can get down off of that Scalding Tarn. So let's see what we've got going on. Actually, it didn't look like we did hit a 1 drop off of that. Unfortunately. Okay, all right, so at this point right now, we're just going to go and pass the turn to our opponent, and we do have to discard down to hand size, so I'm going to go and speed this video up at this point. Okay, there we go. Then anything else, we'll let our opponent do their thing. So we were able to swing in for a pretty good chunk of damage, knocked our opponent all the way down to 5. And then as far as next turn goes, we do have Rogue's Passage still to get that down, and then also Cold Eye still has Island Walk, so we'll be in a pretty good position. Now, the only thing that's really going to be worrisome is if our opponent has some sort of board wipe that's going to completely clear us out. We can still kind of bounce back with Adventure of Zendikar. Revered Bladesmith, okay. Search your library for the equipment card and reveal it. See what they're going to search up off that one. But yes, like I mentioned, we did hold on to Avenger of Zendikar, so that will allow us to at least get down Avenger of Zendikar and kind of rebuild our board state with a bunch of plant tokens on the battlefield. But we'll see what our opponent's going to search up off this activation. Hammer, okay. It may attach target creature and has indestructible. Okay, so I'm going to equip that onto Azusa. And then see what else they're going to go for, but I think that should be... Yeah, that's going to be them swinging across. Tap target creature defending player controls. Yeah, that's fine. They're going to be able to get across. We're looking at about 7. That's going to be 8 total damage coming across on our opponent. Okay, that will allow them to untap their land, so let's see what they do have in their second main phase. Like I mentioned, board wipe's not going to be that good for us, but we do also have a Walking Ballista, so we can actually get that down, and hopefully if we can keep Ezuri on the battlefield, we can always bounce it back with Wirewood. If they do have some sort of board wipe, we can bounce back Ezuri of Claw, and then get down Walking Ballista, and that should be more than enough counters to kind of start dealing some damage to our opponent. Our opponent said they got lucky, so I'm excited to see what... Cyclonic Rift. Okay. Is there anything that we can do? I think that's okay at this point right now. Okay, that's going to bounce everything back to the hand, and then it's going to leave Dryad Arbor. Thankfully, it's going to leave Dryad Arbor still on the battlefield. So let's see if we can't close it out next turn in some way. Okay, so we draw into Mystic Snake. Let's go ahead and get down Rogue's Passage. Let's go and go for Ezuri, Claw of Progress. Let's go and cast Elvish Mystic. I think we might have it on this one, because that's going to be an additional experience counter. And then let's go and go for Wirewood. Actually, let's go and crack a Scalding Tarn. Yeah, let's go and get Shocking Breeding Pool. Let's go and pay 2 life on this one. Let's go and get down Wirewood. And it's going to make a 7/7. Let's go and get down Walking Ballista for 2. And then once we get to our combat step, we're going to be able to put those +1 counters onto Walking Ballista. There we go. All right, puts it at 9, so let's go and start removing those +1 counters, start setting them up top. Opponent did get down Cyclonic Rift, but you can see how good Ezuri can be sometimes by putting some really good pressure on our opponent. Good game. That Cyclonic Rift was nice. It's always one of the, man, those top decks always feel so good, but we're going to be able to close it out with Walking Ballista. Oh, that feels good. And the fun thing about Walking Ballista is, you know, they'd almost have to have something like Trick Bind to kind of stop these activations. So, and that's what makes this deck so much fun, is you can kind of swing across with something like Cold Eye, get a ton of damage going. You know, we hit our opponent for like 22 points of damage, and then even we were able to survive a Cyclonic Rift by getting down Walking Ballista because of those experience counters. So, definitely a good game to our opponent. Thankfully, we never got to see what the Academy Rector was going to find in her Library of Enchantments, so really thankful for that. But you can definitely see we're getting down Sword of Feast and Famine against a green deck is really good, and getting some pretty good stuff going from our opponent. So, but definitely shout out to our opponent. Good game. Definitely enjoyed it. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.